So, wow, there is a lot to unpack in chapter 1163. That was the full chapter. The first thing I kind of want to address is what Sengoku said in the 900s chapters. When we first learned about rocks and God Valley even existing in the first place, he told us that Garp and Roger specifically teamed up to protect the celestial dragons and their slaves and presumably defeat the Rock's pirates. Now, we've been waiting for this moment for a long time because we didn't understand what that meant. Obviously, we knew that was not specifically what would happen because Garp and Roger just simply are not characters that would do something like that in a vacuum. There has to be extenuating circumstances. And obviously, as we've seen, that was simply not the case of what happened. Now, we do see where Roger and Garp will team up to beat Rocks now, and why Sengoku was talking about this. It doesn't seem like that's going to be propaganda. It really does seem like, presumably, now that Rocks is being reversed, potentially Garp and Roger maybe fight him. I can see a scenario where Garling gets back up after his humiliating defeat by Rocks and attacks Whitebeard because this is a flashback way back when, I think it was in the 300s, I could be wrong about that. The first time we see Shanks and Whitebeard meet, Whitebeard says something to the effect of Shanks as, "Every time I see your face, it makes my scar throb." Now, that could be a very, very cool long-running setup if Whitebeard does end up fighting Garling, because as we know, young Garling, hair aside, is pretty much identical to Shanks' face. Shanks and Shamrock look so much like their father in his youth. As for Kaido and Big Mom, I'm not sure whether they would stick around. Kaido does mention at the end of Wano that pirates betray other pirates, so I'm curious to see if that will play into what actions they make going on from here, whether they leave and retreat once they realize that this has gotten too far, or they don't want to fight Rocks. That could be interesting, as they did serve under him. We're not entirely sure with the betrayal comment. That could be Kaido referring to him sort of betraying Big Mom and stealing the fruit that she was going to give to Katakuri, but I doubt it. I think there definitely will be more to that. Alright, now, for the big reason that I wanted to make this video. If you refer back to the Harley text, when it's talking about the third world, which in my interpretation, I would imagine the third world is the one that we are currently living in. Obviously, that is very likely to be wrong as it is to be correct. But if we assume that the third world in the Harley text is the one we're currently experiencing, there is a very interesting line, actually two lines in there, that I think we need to pay more attention to. I think it's important to look into the past chapters to kind of see where the future of One Piece is going, which is a big theme of the series in general. But anyways, the line that I specifically wanted to talk about goes as follows. "In chaos, there is void. The troubled shadow remembers the promised day." Now, does that remind you of anyone? Because it should. In this chapter, in 1163, when Imu refers to Rox Dizabek as Davy Jones, Rox's response was, if you remember, promises are meant to be kept, despite denying that he is not Davy Jones. Now, Rox's lineage, obviously his son, has the darkness devil fruit. So knowing those two things, if you reread the Harley text, the third world, with that understanding, with that context rather, it does seem to refer to Blackbeard being the troubled shadow that remembers the promised day. I think that is so fascinating. I love when Oda does these long payoff setups, and I really, really hope that this is what he's referring to, because further down the third world text, it also says, the sun god dances and laughs, leading the world to its end. Now, with Rocks referring to Emu as the world in the end of chapter 1162, I think it is very likely that the sun god dances and laughs, leading the world to its end, could very easily translate to Nika, or Luffy in this case, leading the world Emu to their end. Luffy essentially liberating the world, and as it continues, it says, the sun will return once more and a new dawn will arrive. I would love if this third world text is talking specifically about Blackbeard, Luffy, and Emu. That is my reasoning for thinking that we are currently in the third world right now, as that fits so perfectly. And for the last part of this video, there's one thing I want to talk about that I'm curious what you guys think of. In this chapter, as we see Emu arrive, it is a different form of possession being used than the scenario with Gunko in present times. In Elbaf, Gunko is essentially totally possessed, and it is her body that is being used to kind of project Im through. However, in the events on God Valley, Emu is very much their form, this big shadowy form that resides on top of Saturn. And while I do believe they're controlling Saturn, I think it's very interesting that we're still not seeing their true form. So there's a couple explanations for this. The first explanation could be that the Emu that we've seen thus far that resides in Mary Joa is a silhouette, and we still have not seen their true form, and that what we are seeing here on God Valley is this shadowy projection that seemingly can change shape and grow, and it's almost like a Logia ability, realistically. And that what the pirates and Garp and everyone that's fighting Emu sees is a shadowy form, and that's why he's referred to as Saturn, because that's who he's riding. Or is Emu just this shadowy form all the time? And the reason that we've never seen their reveal yet is because that is what they look like. I'm curious what you guys think. I personally don't know yet, but I did think it was interesting that when Zebek was cutting him up, there was sort of they were kind of just this shapeless mass still. And they're that much larger here as well. So I'm curious to see the direction Oda will do with that. At this time, I'm not very sure, but please let me know what you guys think about that. Alright, so this is the end of the video. I'm not sure if anybody is even going to make it this far to hear this, but if you did watch the video, I sincerely hope you enjoyed it. I have never done anything like this before, and I'm using this as an opportunity to kind of get out of my shell and just start interacting with more people. I'm super passionate about One Piece. I love this series, and I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on pretty much anything. But again, nevertheless, thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.